Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
When you get uncomfortable, you tend to have a couple of maybe default responses, right? So your default response might be to make something funny, like make humor as part of your response so that you can diffuse the uncomfortable tension. You might find that you have to walk, right? This is the embodiment of the flight or fight response. You walk, or you flex your hands, or you rub them together. Anywhere that the body kind of moves the energy around to keep it from settling where it needs to be, which is your mind or the full embedded experience you're going through. When we talk about having an embodied experience, we're quite literally talking about how the body interacts with that uncomfortable moment. And so when we're using these uncomfortable moments to help sort of find our plum and uncover it from essentially the crap we have piled on top of it over the course of our lives, what we're really trying to do is move past those default responses and kind of move past maybe the physiological sort of noise that comes with being uncomfortable. And we're trying to get to sort of an essence of your response. And when this happens and starts happening to you regularly, what you'll find are a couple of things that really are very powerful if you give them a chance to flourish. One of the things that will happen is you'll feel perhaps a sense of vulnerability or a rawness in your emotional content. The genuine risk that you take in meaningful self-expression oftentimes feels outrageously vulnerable. And that vulnerability is really just, if you imagine, it's almost like new skin, right? It is stuff that's seeing the world maybe for the first time. And that rawness creates this essentially almost like a tension in the body. When you identify that that's happening, it's important not to clamp down on that right away, to let it do its thing, to be vulnerable in the moment as it arises. And as you learn to trust that feeling, you'll start to see some things happen that, from a process perspective, are the beginning of really finding who you are, that plum, if you will. When you experience these moments, you'll start to note there are some commonalities in what happens. So the rawness is your first sort of indicator that, hey, there's something here that's maybe me, right? More me than the other stuff that I do or have or express. And after that, you'll be able to notice, maybe not in the moment, maybe only in retrospect, but you'll be able to notice that there was some qualities to that experience. Maybe there was a sense of communion or connection with other people. Maybe there was a sense of awe. Maybe it was something that happened while you were out in the natural world and you just felt the scale of things for the first time and you were able to be raw and vulnerable in that moment. How you find this and where you find this is different for everybody, which is why there's no, universal book of purpose, right? What I'm trying to explain here through this process is that there is a way to get there. And by seeking these moments, you'll be able to start to, again, maybe only in retrospect, analyze the character of those moments such that you can put yourself in them on a regular basis to better articulate what that self-expression is. Cultivating self-awareness is part of that process. You'll be able to then say, you know what, I really feel that whatever that is, that connection, that sense, when I am doing this or saying that or in a space like this. And as you begin to sort of identify those sort of connective tissues or those common elements between those functions, between those experiences, you'll begin to essentially separate out the stuff that is aligned with who you are and the stuff that isn't. You'll be able to speak from a place of truth that resonates. And we'll get more into this over the next episode or two, because big parts of this process of identifying your plum and freeing it from the shackles of your own personal history are a huge part of then going on to find out your overall sort of purpose in life and how that influences your everyday moment. Now, if you remember from the first episode, I told you purpose is an expression. That doesn't mean that expression stops there. It can be used to create outcomes, and we'll talk about that again as we wrap up at the end of the week.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.